Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Information You Could Use. I thought this week I would talk to you about interest rates. I know it has been the topic of conversation in the media, on the news, quite a bit lately. There's been a lot of, in my opinion, and I say this delicately, but I do think there's been a bit of fear mongering that has been going out there. Yes, the rates are increasing. Yes, we need to be aware of it. And yes, it is going to impact how much a person can be approved for. But I think the part of the story that isn't being shared and that people need to be reminded of is what was the mortgage rate at the beginning of the pandemic. So I have this chart here, and this is a website that I found online. It's a Canadian company, and they have this great chart of showing what the mortgage rates are over the years. And I particularly wanted to point out what the rate is for 2020, 2021, and 2022. And you'll see that the rates actually are up slightly when it comes to that first column. But when you look to the middle column, which is the 5-year rate, I believe is what that one is. Yes, the average 5-year rate, it's still lower than what it was at the beginning of the pandemic. This particular column, this chart here, this is posted rates for 1, 3, and 5-year terms over the years. And you can see that the rates for the 1, 3, and 5, when you look at 2020 and 2022, there is a difference, and they're all lower in 2022. And the thing that I think people need to be reminded of is at the beginning of the pandemic, the Canadian banking system, they artificially lowered the rates to help keep the fallout of the pandemic and everything that was happening in control. This is what played into the very hot, very unsustainable real estate market that we experienced during the 2 years. But it is what made those rates so low. It was an artificial number. And now that we are starting to climb out of it and hopefully permanently climb out of it, the banking the Canadian banking system has realized that we need to bring the rates back into alignment. So I think it's important that people realize that it's not that the rates are climbing unrealistically or unexpectedly. We did know that when the banks took this position at the beginning of 2020 that this would happen. So I do think it's something to keep in mind. The other thing that our banking system has been really, really good at, and yes, it has impacted the amount of money that people can qualify for, but there is the qualifying rate that you have to do, which adds an extra 2% on. And that's to help when we get into times like this, where you got a mortgage and you had a low rate, and knowing full well that the rates are going to go up, this created a buffer that would allow people to be able to withstand the mortgage increases. Now, there's always going to be people who overextend themselves, which is unfortunate and is concerning, and we need to watch for. But I don't think those people in that situation is a reason to be concerned about these rates going up right now. So just my take on the mortgage rates to try to calm the fears about them going up. They still are lower than what they were at the beginning of the pandemic. So we are still in a very solid, very good position. If you ever need any real estate information you can use, please feel free to reach out to me. My name is Lori Roberts. I am a full-time real estate broker in Durham region, specifically Ajax. Thanks so much and have a great day.